Welcome back to the Five-Star Sit Down alongside Devin Henry. I am Jordan Ham. Just heard from Coach Mike Nesbitt of Ottawa football. Just a lot of really good insight from him. Earlier, we also had Brandon Huffman that helped kind of just highlight some of the big storylines for ASU and U of A, also within the state as well. Now we want to kind of shift our focus. I feel like a lot of the guys within the state are already committed.
Yes.
They've been locked down for a little bit, but there's still some top uncommitted guys. So this is kind of a visit tracker that we want to go over. This past weekend, obviously, a lot of guys are getting on planes and checking out some of these programs. So just wanted to highlight a couple of them. Austin McNamara. He is a kicker and punter over at Highland. He is one of the top special teamers in the state, and Mizzou has been on him for a while. He finally got that official visit. It seemed like they made quite an impact for him. I know that you've seen a little bit of him and kind of just what he's specializes in and that sort of thing.
Well, special teams. You look at the Cardinals and you look at the Sun Devils, and one thing that we haven't had to talk about for a while with either of those teams is special teams. When you can get someone who's locked down with their foot, or even just defensively, offensively, when you're on special teams running and whatnot, that's really a good key to where you're not focusing on the extra point or the punt or the kickoff to start the game, gaining good field position. So that's something that it's always underlooked and in the shadow. So I'm always glad to see kids like this out there.
And I feel like Arizona is a really strong special teams state. It seems like every year they have 4 or 5 guys, and this year's no different. You have Jackson Garcia over at Brophy. He's committed to San Diego. Kyle Ostendorp, the punter for Desert Vista, is going to U of A. Daniel Obarski over at Hamilton has been a really good kicker as well, and obviously McNamara is a guy that's been killing it for them, for Highland as well. So always seems like Arizona is really strong in the special teams. So there have been, obviously guys are jumping on planes, but there's also been a pretty notable guy coming in the state. Obviously a ton of coaching staffs are coming in, doing the in-home visits, but everybody always kind of perks up when you hear that Nick Saban's coming into town, and he visited Noah Polegates and Ty Robinson, not too far from each other in the Southeast Valley, but they're 2 of the top uncommitted targets, both All-Americans, and Alabama's going really hard after them, and he made the visit last week.
It's getting a little chilly out in Alabama. Arizona's not a bad place to come to in December at all. So, and it's great to see Ty Robinson gain some really. When you have Alabama coming over here, those are some really good eyes on you.
Yeah, and he's a guy that is going to be committing on signing day, making his announcement, down to a really good 5 of Alabama, USC, Stanford, Oregon, and Nebraska. So got some good options there.
Couple there.
And then Polegates, I read, he will be committing silently and signing on early signing day, but he won't announce until he's at the Polynesian Bowl in Hawaii in January. So that's when he's going to go ahead and make that public, the Williams Field safety. He also visited USC recently, so he's another guy that's been kind of jumping on the plane as well.
And I love that move. Nothing flashy, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to perform one last time in high school, and then let you know. Nothing crazy there. I like that. I like that.
Nasir Sims from Desert Edge, a one-time Washington State commit. He reopened his recruitment. He was checking out San Diego State, and San Diego State's done a nice job over the past couple of years recruiting Arizona. I know you're a West Side guy. Zidane Thomas committed to them last year, so they've been able to come into the state and get some guys maybe a little bit under-recruited.
Yeah, and I hate the word decommit because that's what you had to do with Washington State, but there's so many variables, that pop up, and, it's great to see that he also has a lot of good other offers there, too. Maybe he stays Pac-12 and we get to see him come to Arizona a couple times, maybe not, but we'll see.
Yeah. So those are a few of the notable visits that we've seen. So we're going to wrap up the show, Devin. Most intriguing storyline to you, we are a week away from early signing day. What are you going to be keeping your eye on as we approach early signing day?
I'm always interested who's going to jump, who's going to pounce before that early signing day and just throw hey, by the way, I'm committing. And that kind of pushes everyone back on their heels a little bit before that signing day comes up. Committing before that, that's when if you want to make some noise, that's one of the ways to do it, is right before everyone else. But I'm always interested to see exactly who might be someone to pounce on something right before we get to that signing day.
I have 2 interesting storylines. Ty Robinson, obviously the All-American.
Yes.
He's announcing Noah Pola-Gates. I'm definitely keeping track of, but again, I think he's keeping it quiet until January. So we may not necessarily know. But when you have 2 All-Americans still uncommitted this time of year, that's going to draw some headlines and that's going to draw some attention, definitely. And then who's going to flip? So many of these guys are going to be putting pen to paper, and that's when you are really committed. And I think a lot of schools are trying to get to these players before, the pen does go to the paper and it's official and they can't talk to them anymore. Just trying to give them one last sales pitch of, hey, this is what you can do. And whether that's in-state, out-of-state, I always feel like there are 2 or 3 guys that could flip, right before. And, like TJ Green's a guy that did that and ended up at Utah a couple years ago. So definitely something to keep an eye on over the next week. But this is the first edition of the 5-Star Sit Down. Special thanks to Kennedy Wilkerson for making sure we are on air and looking good. And special thanks to Devin Henry, as well as Brandon Huffman and Mike Nesbitt. This is the first edition of the 5-Star Sit Down. Make sure to tune in next week on signing day.